My niece got caught in an accident and suffered serious injuries. But instead of staying by her child's side, Nina, my younger sister, ran away with my husband and disappeared. 9 years passed, and one day at work, I happened to spot two familiar figures. There was no mistaking it. That was Nina and my ex-husband Kent. I had no idea why they were visiting this hospital, but they didn't notice me. I froze, completely caught off guard by the unexpected encounter. Before I could decide what to do, they finally spotted me. Damn it, I thought, but it was too late. With a mocking smirk on their faces, Nina and Kent started walking toward me. Now that I got a good look at her, Nina had changed. She was stunningly beautiful. It was obvious she had spent a fortune on personal care. She had always been the type to invest in self-care, but this was excessive. With cheeks so shiny, they almost looked greasy, she twisted her lips into a smirk and spoke.
Oh, hey, sis. Still working hard? That's gotta be rough on your skin.
Leave now.
Come on, don't be so cold. It's been, 10 years? Don't you have anything else to say? Like, about the kid that became like a mummy?
At that moment, I nearly lost it. Kent didn't say a word. He just stood there, staring at the ground. I couldn't read his expression. If Brenda ever found out that this disgusting human being was her birth mother, how would she feel? I desperately wished she wouldn't be here for this, but that wish vanished into thin air.
You mean me?
From behind me, a small voice spoke in the way a child might sneak up to surprise someone. The sight of her left Nina speechless.
Helen, can you take care of this for me?
Of course, no problem.
Thank you.
I had been working as a nurse at this university hospital for nearly 20 years. I'm not trying to boast, but I knew people relied on me. Another day's work is finished. At home, a peaceful life awaited me, one completely different from my workplace. My husband, Kent, was 5 years older than me. We had no children, but we lived a modest and peaceful life together. I'm home.
Welcome back. You're late again today.
I often got home late. Kent is usually back before me and takes care of dinner. He worked for a large corporate, so it's not like he had tons of free time, but we had a good balance in our roles. I was grateful for that.
I made beef stew tonight. I'll warm it up for you now, so just wait a sec.
Thanks. We sat at the table and shared small, everyday stories from our day. That was our little slice of happiness. Then, one night, as we were eating dinner as usual, the doorbell suddenly rang. Who could be visiting at this hour? Kent and I exchanged glances. He seemed just as clueless as I was. Kent and I stood up together and checked the intercom monitor, where a woman's figure appeared. Something about her seemed familiar. For a moment, I hesitated, and then I realized who she was. It was my sister, Nina. She had shown up at my house, completely out of nowhere. Nina, what's going on?
I got abandoned.
Abandoned? What do you mean?
I found out I was pregnant, and then
Nina wasn't married. I knew she was seeing someone, but I never imagined he would be this selfish.
After I found out I was pregnant and my body started changing, he told me he couldn't see me as a woman anymore. Then, he left me.
More than selfish, he was heartless. Leaving a pregnant woman just because of that. Unbelievable.
So, sis, can you do me a favor? Can I stay here with you? I don't have anywhere else to go and am broke.
I had always known that Nina's income was unstable since she was working part-time. And now, on top of that, she had been abandoned. It was no surprise she was struggling. Her request was a bit too much, but she was my only sister. Still, I couldn't just decide this on my own. Just as I was thinking that, before I could even respond, Kent, who had been listening behind me, spoke up.
I'm fine with it. I'm worried about her.
Kent had a naturally kind heart, maybe too kind. Without hesitation, he agreed to let Nina stay with us. I'm okay with it too. Stay here for a while and take it easy. Thus, our life as a married couple came to a pause, and our life as a family of 3 began. Time passed, and before we knew it, our household of 3 became 4. My niece's name is Brenda. She had just started elementary school this year, a fresh first grader who looked adorable in her little backpack.
I'm heading out.
Take care.
Be careful, okay?
Strictly speaking, I wasn't her parent, but since Nina and I were raising her together, I was as good as one. Watching her growing up filled me with both joy and worry, a complex feeling that I assumed must be what parents experience. Thinking that, I couldn't help but smile. Nina, on the other hand, was also doing a great job as a mother. She was quite strict with Brenda, teaching her many things with a firm hand. To balance that out, Kent and I often spoiled her a little, which actually created a surprisingly good dynamic. By the time Brenda left for school, I had finished getting ready for work. Since Nina was staying with us, she handled the housework while Kent and I were away. She had volunteered for it, and honestly, it was a huge help. All right, I'm heading out too. Take care of things, okay?
Got it. Have a good day.
And so, just like Brenda had cheerfully said, I'm off. Leaving the house earlier, I stepped out as well. That afternoon, as I was going about my usual nursing duties, I noticed that the emergency department was unusually busy. It seemed an urgent patient was being brought in. Wanting to assess the situation, I took a few of my colleagues and headed downstairs. What I saw there shocked me to my core. The patient being rushed in was none other than Brenda, and her injuries were so severe that I could hardly bear to look. Her entire body was covered in blood. Forgetting my role as a nurse, I ran straight to her. Brenda, can you hear me? The sight of me losing my composure seemed to alarm those around me, but that didn't matter right now. She was still breathing, just barely. There was still hope. Get her to the emergency room now. Thankfully, she managed to survive. However, the doctor warned that noticeable scars on her face might remain. Of course, for a young girl, a facial scar wasn't ideal, but all I could feel was gratitude that she was alive. Later, I learned that Brenda had been hit by a car while walking home from school. The driver had been distracted, not paying attention to the road. Kent and Nina arrived at the hospital soon after.
Brenda.
Nina ran to her, but upon seeing her condition, she fell silent. Brenda had survived, but the scars would remain. That, of course, meant her face. At first, Nina had been a worried mother, anxious about her daughter's injuries. But the moment she saw Brenda lying in bed, wrapped in bandages, something in her changed. It was as if all emotion had drained from her. "Nina, what's wrong?"
Nothing. I'm just glad she's okay.
Her words felt hollow, as if there was nothing behind them. She quietly sat down on a nearby chair and just stared at Brenda. From that day on, I dedicated myself to taking care of Brenda, doing everything I could between shifts. It took time, but she gradually recovered. Eventually, she was able to talk normally again. "How are you feeling? Does anything hurt?"
I'm okay now.
But when the day finally came to remove the bandages from her face, the scars were still there. Brenda would have to live with them for the rest of her life. Thinking about that made my heart ache. Yet, through all of this, Nina never once helped care for her. She didn't even come to visit. Something must have happened after what occurred last time. As her older sister, I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling I had about Nina's behavior that day. If things continued like this, Brenda would be the one to suffer. With that in mind, I decided to confront Nina after I got home. When I arrived, I noticed the porch light wasn't on. Usually, either Kent or Nina would be home by now and would leave the light on for me. Maybe they just forgot today. But when I unlocked the door and stepped inside, I was met with complete darkness. It was immediately clear no one was home. I stepped inside, tilting my head as I feel something's off, and turned on the light. That's when I saw a single piece of paper left on the dining table. "Please take care of Brenda. Regards, Nina." And that was all it said. I stood frozen for several seconds, maybe even longer. I couldn't immediately process what this message meant. Then, the realization hit me. Nina had abandoned her own daughter. The unease I had felt before suddenly made sense, and at the same time, an uncontrollable anger welled up inside me. Why would she make such a foolish decision? I knew she wouldn't answer, but I called her anyway. As expected, there was no response. Next, I called Kent. He needed to know about this. But he didn't pick up either. That's when it finally clicked. Ever since that day, Nina's attitude had changed. She had probably been trying to get close to Kent. And if he gave into that temptation, then it would explain why neither of them was answering my calls now. It felt like I was paying the price for ignoring the warning signs all along. I had been betrayed. Later, during the legal process of obtaining custody of Brenda, I learned a few things from my discussions with Nina. That day, when she saw Brenda covered in scars, she saw a reflection of her younger self.
If I have a child who looks like that, I might experience the same pain I did before. Maybe it's better if I just live my life alone.
That was what she had been thinking. If that was her reasoning, then it was only a matter of time before she abandoned raising Brenda. And, just as I suspected, Nina got close with Kent, and her plan worked perfectly. The divorce was finalized through my lawyer, and I gained full custody of Brenda. Our household of 4 was reduced to just the 2 of us. For the first time in my life, I felt an overwhelming sense of relief that I had my job. No matter what, I would raise Brenda to be happy and strong. I silently vowed to myself. 9 years passed in what felt like the blink of an eye. I had been promoted from a regular nurse to head nurse. Brenda had recovered and is now 15 years old, a 9th grader. But even now, faint scars from that accident remained on her face. It was something I could never change, and the helplessness of that fact had frustrated me countless times. The day when I had to tell her the scars would never fully fade, and that day when she also carried a wound in her heart. I had worried about those moments for years. When would be the right time to talk to her about it? Just thinking about it often gave me a headache. But despite my worries, Brenda had grown up to be a cheerful and positive young woman. Hoping to boost her confidence, I once suggested she try doing theater acting. "Hey, Brenda, have you ever thought about acting?"
With these scars? No way.
At first, she refused, using her scars as an excuse. But over time, whether out of curiosity or simply giving in, she eventually joined the theater club. Once she got into it, she seemed to become captivated by the joy of acting, and to my surprise, she even landed the lead role. That made me happier more than anything. I went to her performances and watched the recordings over and over again. I still haven't forgotten that moment. That memory still stands out as one of the most emotional moments of my life. But now, with high school admissions approaching, Brenda had to leave the theater club. She was now focused on studying, dedicating herself just as passionately as she had to acting. Seeing her put so much effort into something, whether it was theater or studies, gave me a deep sense of relief. Then, one day at work, I spotted 2 familiar figures. There was no mistaking it: Nina and Kent. I had no idea why they were at this hospital, but they hadn't noticed me yet. I froze, caught off guard by their unexpected appearance. How could they show their faces here? I couldn't begin to understand what was going through their minds. Morris, who had been Brenda's attending physician 9 years ago, seemed to sense my distress and approached me with concern.
Is something wrong, Helen?
"No, it's nothing."
It doesn't look like nothing. Please talk to me.
Feeling the weight of his words and kindness, I gave in and told him that Nina and Kent had shown up.
That woman? The mother from back then?
Morris rarely showed his emotions, but now his face was tense with anger. He looked like he was ready to storm over there any second. "Please, doctor, don't make a scene. I don't want to stir things up after all this time. Just stay calm."
That's easy to say. But this isn't something that should be forgiven so easily.
Before I knew it, I had become the one trying to calm him down. But the truth was, I had no desire to see them either. Nothing good would come of facing them now.
I'm being childish, aren't I? I should be the one staying composed. I'm sorry. But still, what could they possibly be doing here?
I have no idea. They have no reason to come looking for us anymore. Maybe they're just here for a regular hospital visit. As we stood there discussing it, unfortunately, we ended up within Nina and Kent's line of sight. I thought, damn it, but it was already too late. With a mocking smirk on their faces, Nina and Kent started walking toward me. Now that I got a good look at her, Nina had changed. She was stunningly beautiful. It was obvious she had spent a fortune on personal care. She had always been the type to invest in self-care, but this was excessive. Her face gleamed unnaturally, and as she twisted her lips into a smirk, she spoke.
Oh, hey, sis. Still working so hard? That's gotta be terrible for your skin.
What are you doing here?
What do you mean? This is a hospital. We're here to see a doctor. Kent got food poisoning.
Not only had she changed her looks, but her personality had gotten even worse. How does someone become this twisted? If he's better now, then leave.
Come on, don't be so cold. It's been, 10 years? Don't we have anything else to talk about? Like, about the kid that became a mummy?
At that moment, I was on the verge of losing my temper. Kent didn't scold her, nor did he try to stop her. He just stood there, staring at the ground, unreadable. Even Morris was at a loss for words. If Brenda ever found out that this disgusting human being was her birth mother, how would she feel? I desperately wished she wouldn't be here for this, but that wish vanished into thin air.
You mean me?
From behind me, a small voice spoke in the way a child might sneak up to surprise someone. Of all days, today was the one time Brenda had a reason to visit the hospital. Nina's words stopped in her throat the moment she saw her. Or rather, her gaze locked onto Brenda's shirt. She was wearing a t-shirt with the logo of a well-known theater club. A club that Nina had auditioned for countless times in the past, but had never been accepted into.
Why are you wearing that? That theater club?
Oh. You know them?
Brenda had no idea about her real mother's obsession with theater acting, nor that she had once desperately wanted to join that very club. It was pure coincidence. Seeing her daughter succeed where she had failed, Nina's expression twisted with a mix of emotions, desperation, bitterness, and something else. Kent stood frozen behind her, stunned. The stage she had never been able to reach, and now her own daughter is standing on it. That was a reality she couldn't easily accept.
I'm sorry, Brenda. Let's live together again. I'm your mom.
But rather than acknowledging the truth, Nina was trying to use it to her advantage. It was beyond selfish. She hadn't changed at all. And then, another voice.
I was wrong too. I'm so sorry, Brenda. Please forgive me.
But Kent wasn't even apologizing to the right person. The first person he should be apologizing to was me. What was he thinking? I looked at them, wondering what Brenda must be feeling at this moment. But no matter what she thought, I wasn't going to let these people back into our lives. Just as I was about to speak,
My mom is the only one. I don't know this flashy woman.
as expected from someone used to standing in front of an audience. With a calm and unwavering demeanor, Brenda dismissed their ridiculous apologies. But they weren't the type to back down that easily.
Flashy? Why? I'm apologizing so much. Can't you just forgive me?
Helen, I'm sorry too. I was wrong. Besides, Nina drained my purses dry. Please help me.
The fact that he was apologizing now only meant one thing. He saw potential in Brenda's future and was trying to fix his financial troubles through her. It was beyond obvious. It's too late for apologies, and I have no intention of forgiving you. I held back my rising anger and kept my voice steady. No matter what they said now, the past was over, and none of this had anything to do with Brenda. As this meaningless exchange continued, I noticed Morris approaching with other nurses. He stepped in between us.
This is a hospital. Please keep it down.
Your discharge paperwork is complete. Take care.
So Kent really had been sick, but it seemed he had recovered now, which meant there was no reason for them to stay any longer. Realizing they had no excuse to linger, they reluctantly left. Thank you, Morris. That was a huge help.
Not at all. But honestly, I'm concerned. I doubt those two will leave you alone so easily.
He was right. Those two weren't the type to give up that easily. I had no doubt they would keep coming back, desperate to cling to anything they could. But this wasn't his problem to deal with. I couldn't burden him any further. If that happens, it's a family matter. I'll handle it myself. For now, the situation had been defused. Just as Morris predicted, Nina and Kent started harassing us. Despite having abandoned our home, they kept showing up, repeatedly apologizing. Kent could only utter, "I was wrong, and please forgive me." He didn't seem to understand at all what he had done wrong at the core. Maybe his financial situation was that dire, but that was none of my concern. Meanwhile, Nina seemed to have finally confronted herself and started speaking about what she truly wanted.
I realized what I really wanted was a value of existence. I wanted to be needed. But when I got pregnant, I lost that. And when I saw Brenda covered in scars, I thought people would leave me again.
She laid everything out honestly, but that didn't make it okay for her to abandon her own child. And after stealing my husband on top of that, did she really think a confession like this would earn my forgiveness? In the end, her seduction of Kent was nothing more than an attempt to satisfy her need for validation. There had never been any real love there. Hearing this, Kent's attitude shifted again. Now that he understood Nina's motives, he suddenly lost all interest in her and doubled down on apologizing to me.
You heard her. I was manipulated. I'm a victim too. Let's live together again. Please forgive me.
It was complete nonsense. Every word out of his mouth was empty, devoid of any sincerity. Just listening to him made my blood boil. Enough already. Stop with the pathetic excuses. I had reached my limit and finally raised my voice. No matter what you say, I will never forgive either of you. Never show your faces here again.
You really won't forgive me?
This is the result of your own choices. I have no obligation to save you from them. Then, just as I was finishing my words, Brenda stepped out of her room. She looked at them and said firmly,
You're embarrassing. I only have one real parent. I don't need three. Now come back.
With that final statement, Kent turned away. No one knew where he disappeared to after that. As she watched him leave, Nina collapsed into tears. Being completely rejected by her own daughter must have shattered her. Maybe now, true peace had finally come. The thought filled me with both relief and exhaustion, leaving me feeling too drained to even stand properly. Brenda continued to attend high school while also gaining more recognition as a theater actress.
Mom, guess what? I got the lead role in the next play.
Really? That's amazing. It was clear that this wasn't just a coincidence. Brenda had a true talent for acting, and I couldn't have been prouder.
I'll let you know when the performance is set. You have to come watch.
Of course I will. Just like that, I had something new to look forward to. Speaking of things to look forward to, something big was happening at work as well.
Helen, would you like to grab dinner tonight?
To my surprise, Morris had started showing interest in me. At first, I was caught off guard, but over time, I found myself accepting it naturally. Yes, I'd love to. Spending time with Morris was peaceful, delightful, and above all, comforting. Since we saw each other at work every day, most things between us just worked smoothly without much effort. I even started thinking, I hope this lasts forever.
I'll be honest. Helen, I have feelings for you.
His unexpected confession made my heart race again, just like it used to.
Am I bothering you?
Of course not. I have been feeling the same way all along. Not at all. In fact, I was thinking about saying the same thing myself.
Really? That's a relief. I was worried that after everything, this would be too much.
This and that are separate things. You've been there for Brenda since she was little. I've always wanted to repay you somehow, so let me do that by accepting your feelings.
Thank you. But I was only doing what I thought was right.
And with that, we officially started dating. When I realized how long it had been since I felt this way, it was almost like being transported back in time. As the months passed, Brenda became a junior in high school. By then, though the scars on her face were still faintly visible, she had come to accept them. Alongside her growing success in theater, she had also started volunteering. Her mission was to support children facing similar struggles, helping those who had their own insecurities. When she first told me about it, I couldn't help but admire her. This wasn't just motherly pride, it was genuine respect for her noble cause. Luckily, both Morris and I had experience in fields that could be useful. If there's anything I can do to help, just say the word. I know Morris will support you too.
Thank you. I'll do my best.
So, I promised to support her in any way I could. Hosting relevant events and organizing workshops for adults keeps me incredibly busy. But now, somehow, I find it enjoyable. Unlike my younger years, when being too busy would wear me down, now, I found joy in it, especially since it meant spending time with my daughter. By this time, our weekends often included Morris as well, as we moved toward remarriage. He had grown fond of Brenda, and even on days when I was working, he would go watch her performances. I feel truly happy now. After all the hardship, I finally found peace, and every night, I pray that this lasts forever.